Jacob heard that Laban's kids were not very happy with him. Jacob told his cousin wives his plan to head home since their father, his uncle, is not as friendly as he used to be. Jacob goes on about a dream he had and how the angel of the Lord spoke to him. Meanwhile, Rachel stole all of her dad's household gods. Rachel was sitting on her camel and had hidden the action figure god collector set in her saddlebag. She basically told dear old dad that she can't get up off the camel because she is having her monthly period.
I have the memories of every church I ever attended in my mind as a long procession of white walls, wooden pulpits, choirs, the smell of old ladies' perfume, and home-baked goods and cheap coffee after the service. Then, of course, there's Sunday school, which I loved. Everyone dressed and pressed in their Sunday best, Bible tucked under their arm, ready to serve God. I loved wearing my Sunday school clothes and combing my hair for service.
I had a good Christian friend say this to me, and then after saying it said, "Love you." And all I can say to that is, number one, if that's the case, why aren't there tons of atheists out there eating babies and killing old people? I'm certainly not doing it. And secondly, how many Christian people do you know are walking the straight and narrow and just not sinning? I was in the church for 20 years, and I can tell you that that is not the case.
Human understanding of God's will is precisely what believers use to establish His goodness in the first place. So if ex-convicts will do what God will not, then how can God's goodness ever truly be established? And if Christians are willing to believe that their God is within His right to let tragedies occur, like the one in Cleveland, then the only conclusion I can come to is that in some circumstances, kidnapping and rape are acceptable to God. If that is His idea of goodness, I don't want any part of it.
The Christianity Monument would have been so awesome. It was a statue of Jesus riding a unicorn while fighting Satan, who happened to look a lot like Richard Dawson.
The old host from Family Feud?
No, the scientist.
Richard Dawkins?
That's what I said. Anyway, the statue would be in full color, stand 30 stories tall, and Jesus' flaming sword would have real flames coming out of it.
Science owes a debt.
Seems that even the geologically confused yabba-dabba-doo merchants have jumped on the anti-naturalist bandwagon. In case you don't recognise this chap, his name is Karl Barr, or to give him his formal academic title, Karl Barr.
Therefore, from line 1 and 4, it follows that substance dualism is false.
Hello, I'm Bob Smearfack, but not really. We're rolling into Jerusalem. Your boy's gonna get thrown under the bus to the big religious hoo-haws, then they're gonna hand him off to the Romans, who are gonna beat the shit out of him and then hoist him up so he has a really nice view of the city, if you know what I mean. And then on day 3, he was gonna do a full frontal resurrection. This is your Bible on psychotherapy. This audio-activated lighting system predated the clapper by 6,000 years. He is the most interesting creationist in the world. Stay faithful, my friends.
Those hues of heavenly white light, which now seemed to have clouded my eyes for so long, slowly gave way to the brilliant colors of everything that surrounded me. And there was order in those colors. There was sense in those colors. There was wonder in those colors. I noticed that many times along this path of my life,
the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the censers from the
In order for me to know what to make, I have to know what a rose is.
Well, it's got a seed, so you've got to start with nothing and you've got to create a seed from nothing.
That's not possible.
So how could you say everything's not intelligently designed? Where does that leave you on the scale of intelligence if you say everything's not intelligently designed and you can't even make a rose?
The cultivation of the rose has drastically improved since the integration of Mendelian theory into our understanding of biology. We can now select for different colors, shapes, and shades. So I don't understand why comfort thinks that the rose is supposed to be
the atheist's nightmare.
By definition, induction is simply the process of forming generalizations about sets through a limited sampling of subsets. Justification for this process is then found by examining the two epistemic possibilities. If incomplete samplings of a particular subset are indeed indicative of the behavior of the whole, then induction will lead to a correct belief in the form of predictable consequences. However, if the subset is not indicative of the whole, then sooner or later any beliefs based on induction will lead to failed actualization of desired outcomes. In other words, when it works, and when it doesn't, it eventually lets you know. Logical induction, by its very nature, is therefore self-correcting. All it takes is the intellectual honesty to admit when our conclusions are wrong so that we can modify them in the face of new information.